Before starting this, before starting this video, I want to let you guys know there are Black Friday deals going on the entire week on vintagegenetics.com. Today, on a Tuesday, you will be able to get any two tank tops or t-shirts across the entire collection and get one extra tank top or t-shirt for free. So buy two, get one free. Don't forget to check out the link down in the description below. And thank you a lot for the support and enjoy the rest of the video. So yes guys, this is a very important week for Vintage Genetics, so if you are interested in any of our clothing, make sure to follow me at Instagram at Wesley Vissers and subscribe to our email at the vintagegenetics.com website, and you will be sure to be kept up to date with all the deals. But anyway, this is a leg workout, and this workout was recorded a little while ago when I was still recovering from the Mr. Olympia, and as I'm recording it right now on November 23rd on a Tuesday, I feel quite recovered. Actually did a blood test this morning to see if I'm actually fully recovered, but this was about 20 days ago when this was recorded, so I have some videos for you guys, but I've been quite busy with our new apartment, which we're going to get in next month actually. But anyway, a lot more videos will be coming and a lot more this week will be posted for sure. So this is a leg workout. We're training at my brother's gym, basically, where I used to train for 7 years at the beginning of my bodybuilding career, and we are starting out with the seated leg curl. And the seated leg curl is actually the best leg curl there is if you're able to get full range of motion there, because of this seated positioning, because of the position that your legs have as opposed to your back and your hips. Basically, you will be getting a better stretch compared to the laying leg curl. So a better stretch causes a bigger impulse, a bigger stimulus for muscle growth. So whenever you have the option between the seated leg curl and the laying leg curl, I would choose the seated leg curl more often. But do them both, because they both, you shouldn't be doing one exercise only for hamstrings. But if you haven't done this one yet, I definitely recommend doing it. So what you want to do here, as I mentioned, feel a full stretch at the very top, but especially feel that full contraction, because that is the most difficult portion of this lift. That is where you will fail. And if you cannot get into that full contraction anymore, then you know that the set is over. You don't want to cheat, you don't want to put your lower back in it, you don't want to put your glutes in it, only the hamstrings, and that is very, very important. So the reason why I start with the hamstrings is because it's my weak point, and at the beginning of a workout you should always prioritize the muscle groups that are the weakest, because you're still fresh, still full of energy, and you can put all your efforts into that muscle group until it becomes more balanced with the rest. Another muscle group I want to work on is the inner thighs, or the adductors, and this is pretty much the only isolation movement for the adductors which I like to do before hitting the heavier compound movements. Now, a lot of people think that this is the only way to build up the inner thighs. It is not true, because isolation movements are never really the only way to build any muscle. The compound movements allow you to put a lot more stress, load and tension throughout all the muscles, so they will always be superior. But if you still have a weak muscle group and you're strong on the compounds, then adding extra volume through an isolation movement will make that muscle group grow more, because volume ultimately will cause the most growth if you can recover from it. So this is working set number 2, very slow and complete range of motion, because this exercise is quite easy to do if you do it quickly. So doing it slowly with pausing at the contraction, that will make it a lot more doable for a lot of people, instead of doing the whole stack and having to do 30 plus reps. And now we're going to do the leg extension. And what I mentioned about the isolation movements, the leg extension is one of the few exceptions, because here the squeeze at the top you can only get in the quads during the leg extension. Also the sissy squat, but that requires a lot of technique and experience, but anybody can do a proper leg extension, especially when the machine is proper and you can achieve full range of motion. So you want to be able to go all the way up and especially all the way down without the stack clanging on itself, and that way you know you're hitting full range of motion, you're maximizing the stretch, but also the squeeze, guys. Look at how much I squeeze the quads at the very top. The moment you see that squeeze, especially when you're lean, you can see more details, more striations, more different muscles being activated, because that's exactly what is happening. When you're doing a squat, when your leg is straight, there's no tension anymore. But when your leg is straight on the leg extension, the maximum tension is achieved. So that's why a leg extension is unique, because this pretty much is the only movement that allows you to fully squeeze the quads and allows you to build a complete quad development instead of only sticking to compound movements. Now this is a unilateral movement, meaning I start with the weakest leg first, my right leg, and then moving on to the the weakest leg is the left leg, and then moving on to the right leg, making sure there are no imbalances. And I like to switch up the leg extension. One time I do with both legs, the other time with one leg, so you can switch it up and make it an entirely different exercise. And Kane, my brother right here, is actually doing very well as well. He is getting leaner and leaner while keeping his muscle mass, and trust me, in terms of strength, he easily keeps up with me on most movements, especially now in this video as I was still recovering from the Olympia. But his strength really is always up there. We've actually been training for, let's see, around 10 years together, like almost every single day, and we both build up our physiques by being workout partners. But of course, life happens. You move across the Netherlands and it's more difficult to do workouts together, but still we like to do a training at least once a week together. So one time I go to this gym, the other time he goes to our gym at 100% Fit Gym, and we still get some quality workouts in together. And because you're pretty much equal in strength, and when someone hits failure, you know when to spot, you know when to help, it just feels good that you don't always have to say something for the other person to know what to do. So after those 3 isolation movements, it is time for the first compound movement. So, what is the movement? It is a Smith machine squat. And by the way, on pretty much all the isolation movements, I didn't show you any warm-up sets. And this, for example, is one warm-up set of me just hitting 5 reps with a lighter weight, mainly to get used to the movement, get blood in the muscles that are activated during the exercise, and to really get mentally ready to attack the first working set, which is this. Now, don't laugh at me for the weight. This is still nothing compared to what I used to do in the off season, but the dumbest thing to do is to drive up fatigue right after a competition with old PRs, for example, trying to beat those just because you know you're being recorded. I'm showing you the truth. Now, everybody is different. Some people get very strong right away after the competition. But at the same time, there are also a lot of people who injure themselves, who have, painful knees and joints. I don't have any of that. I feel great. I feel recovered. And then you can truly attack the weights without the consequence of possible injury or pains or impingements or anything like that. That is the style of training that I hate. Training with the wrong kind of pain. The only pain we want to feel is the muscular failure, the lactic acid buildup, and, pretty much just working those muscles until they can't go anymore. That is what bodybuilding is all about, not feeling that annoying pain, but only the good kind of pain. And by the way, we are both wearing fully vintagegenetics.com clothing. I'm wearing the oversized scoop neck shirt, and Kane is wearing the oversized old school tee. Multiple different oversized shirts are available on the website if you're interested, as well as the shorts that we are both wearing. Now this is working set number 2, and working set number 2 is usually a working set with less weight, allowing me to do more reps. So I have 2 chances per exercise to beat myself compared to the previous time that I did this exercise. So at the first working set, I want to do at least 1 more rep compared to the last time on the second working set as well. But if you do the same weight every single time, you can't, it's much more difficult to beat yourself because the previous set made you tired for the next set. But if you lower the weight, you can still do more reps, allowing you to more easily beat yourself from the last time. Plus there is something called, I think, post-exercise potentiation or something like that. The difficult scientific name of it you don't have to know, but what it means is that when you do a heavy weight, any weight you do afterwards that is lighter feels a lot lighter. So it actually feels lighter than it actually is because you're basically used to doing a heavier weight beforehand, and that always helps. Just imagine you're curling up a dumbbell of 30 kilos, and then you have to do 10 kilos. That 10 kilo feels way lighter than if you would have started with a 10 kilo. Just a rough example. And then is the leg press, the second compound movement. I am here, by the way, wearing Vintage Genetics socks. Very soon available on vintagegenetics.com. Make sure to check it out. And the socks are actually a bit thicker, and all one size fits all, so they are tight in your shoe, not allowing your shoe to move from left to right, giving you more stabilization during all of those leg movements. But this leg press also, the weight here doesn't matter to me. What matters to me here is I simply hit muscular failure with a given resistance, and every time that I do this movement I have to increase the resistance. By the way, or for example, this is 210 kilos, and today actually the leg workout I was able to do these same reps with 290 kilos. So that already is a very big difference, but if you build it up slowly, there is no risk of injury or anything like that. You will get stronger, you will build muscle the best possible way, like a bodybuilder would, and not someone who just wants to lift as heavy as possible. So look closely at my full range of motion in just a second after watching little Dexter walking right there, my little son. So I'm here doing the second working set, but this time I'm not using a lighter weight. I simply wanted to do the same weight as this leg press. I'm not really tracking anyway, because the leg press at our gym is different. It just feels different. But as you can see here, if you look at my upper leg, it goes beyond 90 degrees. And I think that's important because then you hit more of the glutes, but also stretch out the quads even more. And the longer the range of motion, the more you have time under tension, which is one of the principles of building muscle. But also the more oxygen is demanded from the muscle, which burns fat, for example. If you are in a cutting phase, it's safer, it's better for the joints, it's better for muscle growth in general, because the better the stretch, the better the contraction, the higher the stimulus for muscle growth, and then you don't have to go as heavy, so your joints are actually catching a break. Don't be caught up by that guy in the gym who presses twice the weight as you, who doesn't have the legs to show for it. The only exception in pretty much the entire world is Ronnie Coleman, but no one should be looking at him for an example of how to actually train, because then a lot more people would be a lot bigger. He's just a freak, a true freak of nature for sure. Very inspired by him, by just watching his workouts. Very motivating, but you can't really look at them and do the same thing and expect the same result. So this is pretty much the final leg movement for the upper legs. So I slowly started to do Romanian deadlifts again. This is by no means going to failure at all. I do call it a working set, but it's not really. It's more of a finishing set, really stretching out the hamstrings, which are filled with blood, slowly getting used to the movement, making sure my posterior chain is strong enough to uphold my body in the correct way, just making sure my form is correct before going very heavy on those, because my lower back has always been a weak point and injury prone, but the Romanian deadlift is still an incredible exercise for the hamstrings and the glutes. And this again is little Dexter, always showing people his tongue and his one finger. Now it's time for the last movement, the seated calf raise. Only showing you one set, the second working set, but I already did a working set before this. Again with the same weight. With calves, I don't usually use the same principles as the rest of my body, because my calves already are a strong point. But what I have definitely changed is my form, my execution. Ever since I trained with my coach Stefan Kienzel, or Boss of Outlaw on Instagram, back in Mexico preparing for the Mr. Olympia, when I trained calves, he told me, "What are you doing? You're only doing half reps. You have to go all the way up." And I actually got caught, I caught myself not doing full range of motion reps on the calves, because I was like, well, they're big enough anyway, so why would I, have to do maximum effort for them? But trust me, every single muscle you have, no matter how strong of a muscle group it is, go all out and you will not regret having that incredible muscle group be even stronger, even better by doing so. Anyway guys, thank you a whole lot for the support. I'm going to try to post a video every single day for you guys, and don't forget to check out the website down below to get your old school clothing and apparel. And don't forget to stay golden.